Hi, I'm Margot, and today I want to show you a Cloudomation Engine demo for an onboarding process, for the technical onboarding of a new team member. In this demo, we will integrate with each other three different software systems. On the one hand side is Cloudomation Engine as the central automation platform, and as a second system, we have Jira. Atlassian Jira is a ticketing system where we will create a new user for our new team member and assign some tickets already to that new user. And then we will also create a Google email inbox for that new user, so a Google email account. We haven't created it yet. We will create it in the course of the demo, so I can't show it yet. But as a brief overview, so you know, this is a very small example, a small onboarding process. In real life, of course, it could contain a lot more systems. Where a new member starts in the team, an automated process is started, and accounts are created for this user in different systems. Before we start the actual automated process, I want to show you a little bit about Cloudomation Engine so that you then understand already what is what and what we're seeing when we're watching the automated process run. I'm going to log in, and the first thing I see is my dashboard in this demo workspace that I created particularly for this demo. I can see immediately which executions, so which automated processes ran in the past week. I can see how many of them were successful, how many of them were not successful. And I have some additional quick links like what I last edited and the latest executions. On the left-hand side, I have my projects, and one of the projects is my onboarding project, which is the one I want to talk about now. So this covers the onboarding use case. In my project, I have different resources. In this case, I have 4 different resources and 3 different types. So I have 2 flows, an onboarding flow and an offboarding flow. I have a connector, a Jira connector, and I have a webhook. Let's take a look at each of them. At the very heart of automation in Cloudomation Engine are the so-called flows. The flow is the place where you actually define the automated process. Cloudomation Engine is a code-based automation platform, so the process is defined in code in Python. So in this onboarding flow, it says here in the description what it actually does. It creates an email address, a Jira user, a hardware order, and a welcome email. And this is defined here in Python. So this is standard Python with some Cloudomation specific features, like for example, the using a connector. And on the right-hand side here, you have a visualization of this process. So this visualization is actually created automatically by the system. It parses the Python script and creates this flow chart so you can very quickly understand what is happening without reading the code. This is particularly useful also when, for example, you take a look at flows that your colleagues created that you didn't write yourself, or if it's been a while since you've actually written this. In this editor here, you have also IntelliSense and autocomplete available. So for example, you can see which parameters you have available, a little bit of documentation about how to use these Cloudomation specific features. Yeah, so this is the onboarding flow, the one that will be executing later on, that will create new accounts for a new user and also send them a welcome email. Just as important as an onboarding flow in an onboarding process is an offboarding flow. So whenever a colleague leaves the team, that you also have an automated process in place that removes access rights and accounts for that user. So we also have an offboarding flow, which I will execute at the very end to reset everything to 0, basically. And then we have our connector. So connectors are the places in Cloudomation Engine where you configure how to connect to another software, in this case to Jira, using a REST API. So this is a connector of the type REST. In this connector, you define how to connect. So for example, the host name is defined here, the base path, and also the authorization. So how to actually authorize my REST connection to create a new user and to create a ticket. What you can see here is that it's not actually a plain text password or anything like that, but rather it's a reference to a vault secret. Cloudomation Engine is deeply integrated with a HashiCorp Vault, which is an open source secrets management system. And you can configure Cloudomation Engine to use a vault, a specific vault instance, and then it can fetch secrets from the vault instance at runtime. This means that Secrets are actually never stored in Cloudomation Engine. They're never displayed in the user interface. They never land in the Cloudomation Engine database. They're only fetched at runtime, kept in memory to be used, and then forgotten immediately. That has two big advantages. The first one is security. So in the Vault, you have a very secure system that is built for secrets management that allows you also to set very fine granular permission systems, so to determine what secrets Cloudomation Engine can access, for example, and which it can't access. You can also at any time remove access rights for Cloudomation Engine, so you can also seal the Vault. Of course, probably most importantly, it makes it more secure to use the Cloudomation Engine platform, because the users of the Cloudomation platform never ever get access to the secrets. So I cannot copy the secret. I cannot get it out of the platform because it's kept in the Vault and only fetched at runtime, never displayed to me. It doesn't show up in logs, so I can't actually go and steal that secret. So Cloudomation Engine users have much less exposure to sensitive information. So this first advantage is security. The second advantage is convenience, because in the Vault you have one place where you keep all your secrets, where you manage all of them. You can also have, for example, different people have access to the Vault who manage these secrets. They don't need to know about Cloudomation Engine. They don't need to log into Cloudomation Engine to adjust secrets, make key rotations or anything like that. All of that can be done in the Vault. And of course, if a password changes, if a key changes, you update it in the Vault once, and all the connectors in Cloudomation Engine fetch it live. So always get the fresh authorization methods and passwords. Cloudomation Engine is also integrated with a second secrets backend, the Devolutions Secrets Manager, and we are extending that continuously to add more secrets backends on customer request mostly. With the connector, I also have an analysis and a test feature. So the analysis takes a look at the REST endpoint, reads out the Open API specification, if there is one, to tell me which calls are actually available, which parameters I can use, and so on and so forth. For different connectors, different information is fetched with the analysis feature. For an SQL database, for example, it reads out the database schema. For an SSH connection, it reads out some basic information about the remote system, like the operating system and version, like disk space available and things like that. There is also a test button, which is very useful. I can use it to just check if I have configured everything correctly, and it just checks if it can actually connect to the system that I have configured here. What I can also see here is that there is a form view and a code view. So like I said, Cloudomation Engine is a code-based automation platform. So all the data you see here is actually structured, machine-readable data that can also in the user interface be displayed either in a nice form view that is very discoverable, where you have drop-downs, you have labels, you have descriptions. It's very easy for you to find out, okay, what do I enter where? And in the code, you then actually see it in its YAML format, how it is stored in the backend. The last element in the puzzle is the webhook. The webhook is a web endpoint that triggers an automated process. So when this webhook is called, it starts the flow. In this case, the onboarding flow. Creating a webhook is actually very simple on the platform. Once you have a flow, there is a button, Create Webhook, and clicking the button creates a webhook. It automatically creates the web endpoint. You can rename it. You can configure its security. You can enable it or disable it. So you can, for example, require a Cloudomation Engine login token for authorization for the webhook. You can require a key. You can set both. You can set neither. However you need it to protect your webhook. I will actually delete this again because I have already set up my webhook that I want to use here, which is the one that is already also entered in Jira. Webhooks are a great way to trigger automations from other systems, from external systems. In this case, it will be Jira that will actually call the Cloudomation Engine webhook and start the onboarding process. This is extremely useful because we believe that it is best to leave end users in the systems that they already know. So for example, here an HR person or a person in the team where the new colleague is starting will create a ticket in Jira, and they will not need to know anything about Cloudomation Engine. They will never need to log in. They don't need to click a button anywhere. Instead, they stay in the systems that they already know how to use. Cloudomation is triggered in the backend, automates the process, and actually again delivers the results into the systems that the users already know how to use. With the webhook, we also have logs. So this tells me when the webhook was called, if the call was successful, and links to the execution of the webhook that the webhook created. And we will do that now. We will take a look. So I will actually show both windows here next to each other. And what I will do is I will create a ticket here in Jira. This is a ticket of a specific issue type because in Jira, I've configured Jira to call the Cloudomation Engine webhook whenever a ticket of that type is created. And now I will create an onboarding ticket. So at first I will add a name, the name of the person that's starting. Let's say Ada Lovelace, the first programmer, is actually starting in my team. Yay! I can have some. I have some choices here. Like I said, this is now all configured in Jira. This is really just going to show that any data that is also added here in a ticket is then delivered in the webhook call and used by Cloudomation Engine to determine how the onboarding process should actually continue and what should actually be done in the onboarding process. So Ada would of course start in the engineering department and she would need a powerful laptop. Let's say she starts on Monday and that I am her manager. Okay, so as soon as I create this ticket, we should then be able to see here the ticket was created and the webhook was called just now. So this immediately calls the webhook. I will now take a look at the execution that this created. So this is already doing a lot of things. Actually, Jira is not updating the user interface as frequently as the process is now here already doing its steps. We also have a visualization here. It's a bit more high level, so it's not as fine granular as the steps in the flow execution that we saw, but still it's a list of steps that are taken by the automated process. So what we can see here is the demo 267. So this ticket, it set itself as an assignee. So Cloudomation is now the assignee of this onboarding ticket because it says, I'm doing this, I'm onboarding Ada. It also set the ticket in progress. We can see that. It added a new email address for ada.loveless@cloudomation.com. So now the email inbox is created. It added a comment about the email into the ticket. So let's actually take a look inside this ticket and see what is happening here. Oh, and amazing. We can see it didn't just assign itself and set it in progress, but it's actually adding comments about each individual step that it's taking and whether or not it was successful. So this is also, again, for users that don't know about Cloudomation Engine, shouldn't have to log in or have to do anything directly with Cloudomation Engine. They can still see here in a very detailed way what is being done in the automated process, whether or not it was successful, and it's documenting its own process, basically. So here it says it added a new email address, added a comment about it. It also created a new Jira user, Ada Lovelace. So it created the Jira user, it added the comment about the Jira user. It created a separate ticket, a hardware order. So to order a powerful laptop, please order one powerful laptop for Ada Lovelace in engineering. So here we can see that the webhook actually received all this data, that we selected that she needs a powerful laptop, that her name is Ada Lovelace, and that she works in the engineering department. So all of that is actually received by the webhook and used then for the next steps. It added the ticket, the comment about the hardware order in the ticket, and then there is a retry loop, which is very interesting because it then tries to create an onboarding issue and assign it already to the new user, to Cloudomation, to Ada Lovelace. And even though it created the new Jira user a few seconds prior to this step, it's not immediately available via the REST API in Jira. So it can take a few seconds for this in Jira to actually become available. So it just tries this a few times before it succeeds, and then it can create the new issue and assign it to the new user. Then it's a comment, and it sends a welcome email. Let's take a look in a minute let's take a look at the welcome email in a minute. Added a comment, and then sets the ticket to done. And that's it. That's the entire onboarding process. We can see here that the onboarding training ticket was created. It was assigned to this new user, Ada Lovelace, which now exists. It didn't exist before. And it created this hardware order ticket for Ada Lovelace. So let's take a look now at the welcome email. Here we go. And it sent a welcome email. So to actually ada.loveless@cloudomation.com, this new email address, and it said me, her manager, in CC. Again, this is information that was entered in the ticket. It's forwarded to the webhook. It's used in the automated process. And it says, Dear Ada Loveless, welcome to Cloudomation. Please read through the onboarding checklist with a link and attend an onboarding training. Within your first week, feel free to reach out to Margot, your manager, if you have any questions. So like I said, this is, of course, a very reduced onboarding process. In a real-life scenario, there would probably be more than 2 systems, so not just the email address and Jira, maybe a handful of other systems that a user would be created for this new team member. But I think it already shows the basic functionality and the idea of how Cloudomation Engine would work, how it would be like for also a person in engineering, in marketing, in HR, or wherever to create a process, to trigger a process that uses Cloudomation Engine without actually having to work with Cloudomation Engine, and then how it would look like in Cloudomation Engine for anyone working in the automation team to see what happened, when, how, and where. That's it for today. I will now do the offboarding flow. The offboarding flow will actually remove the email address again. It will remove all the tickets and set everything back to 0. I will do that because here it will also give me the opportunity to show a little bit more of the execution. So when I start a flow, you already saw the visualization before. You can also see here which resources are involved in this process. In this case, it's the offboarding flow and the Jira connector. But you also have more. So in this execution, you have all the outputs, the inputs that are received, the specific script that was executed. You have, again, your logs, and very importantly, save points. So one of the specialties of Cloudomation Engine is that it actually is very robust. So automated processes that run on Cloudomation Engine can be interrupted and recover without data loss on their own. So even if there are severe interruptions to the system, even if there is a power outage or something like that, God forbid, it should never happen. But if there is a power outage in your system, in your server room, or if there is, for some reason, the virtual machine is down, the system is under too heavy load, or whatever happens, if the process is interrupted, it can recover at any of the save points, which are set at a very fine granular level every time the Cloudomation Python API is actually called, and it can just recover from the last save point and continue the process from there without losing any data. One thing that is always also enabled by this save points logic is very resource efficient scaling of Cloudomation Engine processes, because the worker processes that actually do the execution of the automated processes, they always take a save point, execute it until the next save point, and then take another one. So you can have several worker processes running in parallel and just picking save points and doing everything in a highly parallel fashion. And that's it for the onboarding and offboarding demo. Maybe let's check. Yes, my demo board is empty again. So we're back in the status that we started with, and the offboarding was also successful. Thank you very much. My name is Margot Mückstein. You can find more information about Cloudomation Engine on cloudomation.com and the documentation on docs.cloudomation.com.